All right, guys, we're gonna open up the call. We're gonna open up the lines. We're gonna take some calls, answer some questions. One of my favorite parts of the show, hearing from you guys. So we got a few. Got a few questions today. I'm gonna try to give some solid advice. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it into layitonbradleone at gmail.com. All right, so let's go. Let's go to the phones. Let's take the first call for the day here. Let me pull this bad boy up.
Brad, what's up? This is Eddie coming to you from Warwick, Rhode Island.
Eddie from Warwick, Rhode Island, over by the airport, I think, over there. Warwick, right? It's over by the airport there. Anyway, love Rhode Island. Great state. All right, buddy, let's go.
Question for you. I watched your pickle video, Fermented Half Sours. I did it myself. Everything looks like it went well. Picked a little oak leaf, put it in there for the tannins. It was awesome. But the pickles, I used the percent brine that you did in your video, but the pickles are like crazy salty. I don't know if Reddit's lying to me or the internet's lying to me. It said it has to do with something about, the salt. It gets really salty when it's fermented or something. I have no idea, but I just wanted to ask you if you had any tips either can I salvage these pickles that are like crazy salty, or is it as simple as just try a smaller percent salinity next time? Thanks.
All right, man. Well, I'll tell you what. I don't know. Whatever pickle recipe you're going off of that I was doing, whether it was an old one or a very recent one, but a lacto fermented pickle, I think you can just do like a good. I'd have to go back and look at my recipe, but I think it's like a 2% salt by weight. Maybe you screwed up. Maybe your scale was off, or I don't know, or something happened, or maybe my old recipe, or maybe my recipe is off, or I don't know. But I just put out a great sourdough pickle making it episode on YouTube, and that one came out phenomenal. I did it with 3 different flavor profiles. So if you want to, I would just take the ones you have. If they're too salty, man, I mean, it's just cucumbers and water and a little bit of thyme. All right, the most expensive part of this whole process, to be honest. So just go ahead and start over. Maybe feed those to the chickens, or throw them in the compost, or throw them at a squirrel, But yeah, pickles, lacto fermented. I think it's a good 2% salt by weight, or by volume. 2% brine salt is what you should do. 2% brine salt. And yeah, you shouldn't have a problem, or kick it down a little bit if you want, but pickles are usually kind of salty. Yeah, hopefully, I would just try again. And apologies if it was my fault, if the recipe, or you know what, let's take it to the next step here, bud. Why don't you go ahead, email me, and show me the recipe that you used, and I'll tell you if it was me or if something happened in you. Either way, it happens to the best of us, whether it was you or me. So, hey, thanks for calling in, man, and maybe we'll bump into each other somewhere cool sometime over in Rhode Island or Connecticut. We got a big festival coming November 1st of Roost. We're doing Shakedown Street. It's going to be rad. If you're local, you're over in Warwick, come on, check it out. But if you listen to this in time, if not, thanks for calling in, bud. All right, guys. Yeah, welcome back to the show. Another big week, another busy one. Kids are going back to school, which is, it's a bittersweet thing. Everyone's always like, you see all the things on the things where people are making their things about how great it is that their kids are going back to school, and mom's sitting in a pool drinking a cocktail like, see you later, kiddos, finally all this peace and normalcy and blah, blah, blah. But I get that, it is nice. I'm stoked that the kids are going back, get a little routine going, get them out of my hair for a little bit. But it's also kind of nice having them. I mean, it's like one of them things. It's like a pain in the butt, and they're annoying sometimes, and it's hard, but it's cool to kind of spend a lot of time with them too, on the summer months, because I heard some stat. All right, I don't know if it's true. You might want to fact check it, but someone was saying that you spend 75% of the time you'll ever spend with your children before the age of 12. So after 12, I think everyone gets it, Brad, but after 12, you only spend 25% of the rest of their life with them if you're lucky. Which was kind of, like, dang, I get it, right? You get a little older, you start doing stuff, you start hanging out with friends, you start getting, your rings of exploration and and separation get a little bigger, right? Which is a good thing. But yeah, I guess it always just stuck with me, you know. But anyway, kids are going back to school, which is great. Um, the weather's been really nice. I went out, I did a little fishing this morning. Got up a little early. All right, before the sun, before first light, dark out. Dog wasn't even up yet, you know. Although old Bonnie girl likes to sleep a little bit. But yeah, we went out there, a couple buddies, and we whacked them, man. Really good morning on the water. Caught some striped bass. Um, I had a nice fish on. I was reeling it in. Excuse me. And I was reeling it in straight up, right up next to the boat. All of a sudden, I see the fish just going bananas. You know, just real sporadic, real fast, kind of darty. He was swimming at the dang boat, and then all of a sudden, like a 7-foot shark just came swirling up after him, chasing him. I mean, 2 feet from the boat, big old sucker trying to chomp my bass in half, but I walked him away and walked him this way, and yeah, I landed the fish, which was cool. But it was, yeah, big old guy. She was looking for a free meal, man. We were in a pretty sharky area, notoriously known for having some cruisers, but that's cool. Yeah, everyone caught some fish, which was a blast. Weather was amazing. Still is right now. What is it? The end of August. We're approaching the, actually, what is the dang date? It is August 26th, 2025. Yeah, correct. 2025. I thought it was 2026 the other day. Just goes to show, it's like, my gosh, we all just got to take a beat and slow down a minute. All right. Just slow things down a little bit. Take a deep breath. Realize what time it is. All right. Play a little baseball with your kids. Or if you don't have kids, go on vacation, go to Portugal, sleep with a stranger. I don't care. What are we even talking about anymore? You know what I'm looking at right now is I got this beautiful spear gun, this Rife. If you're familiar with Rife spear guns, I haven't gotten into. I went this spring for Tog, but man, I got to get out of the water, get some tuna, maybe shoot some mahi or something. I don't know, man. I just recovered from that horrific knee surgery, striped bass injury. I had dorsal fin broke off under my knee, but we don't need to get into that. But a little update in case anyone was wondering is it's getting way better. All right, way better. They were a little worried about infection lingering in there, and people die from shit like that. Apparently, the infectious disease, the swab, the culture swab. They went in there, swabbed it, and they found like a type of staph that was in there. No one really seemed that concerned. They got me on some nasty antibiotics. All seems well. I hope nothing's festering in there. And then I get septic arthritis and they have to cut my fucking leg off. Okay, so let's pray for that not being the case. So I'll keep taking my doxycycline, and it makes me a little sensitive to the sun. And, it's just, oh, Jesus, Mom, Jesus Christ. Am I sick of that stuff? Antibiotics, I mean, hey, it's a beautiful thing, saves a lot of lives, messes the belly up. I'm not trying to complain. I should be very grateful. I was thinking about this, like maybe 100 years ago, that dorsal fin, this little injury I had, this little fish spine broken off under the kneecap, it might have killed me. If they didn't get that thing out and I didn't go start doing some crazy personal surgery, like opening it up and just trying to pull it out with tweezers, or biting down on a leather strap or something fucking medieval. Well, I say medieval, but what most of the humanity has had to do throughout time. Oh, it's only pretty recent, Well, I guess they've been getting people pretty fatooched up on opioids. Probably, back in the day, back in the day. He had a porcupine quill stuck in his ass or something. I'm sure they got him all hopped up on opium if you're, wealthy. Or what are we even talking about? Porcupine needles in people's asses, for God's sakes. Today, today we got a really special guest, guys. Going to be a fun one. A buddy of mine I haven't seen in a while. Maybe you know him from YouTube. He's got a little show that I don't know if he still does it anymore, but it's called World of Wine. He was named best young sommelier. So for some of you folks a little dim out there or just don't know, that means someone is trained in the art of wine, a master of the wine. It's pretty impressive stuff. we'll ask our buddy about that coming up. And then he's got his own little winery, vineyard. He's just a really awesome guy. Restaurants in New York City. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. André Hueston. I think it's Houston. André Mack. Welcome to the show, everyone. André Mack. André, welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, a long time no see, buddy. Where
It's
you
been a long time.
Yeah, where you calling in from, bud?
I am in Vermont. I'm in this small little town. It's central West Vermont. So we've had a place here for a couple years now. So
yeah, that's a nice time of year to be up in Vermont, man.
it is pretty good, actually.
Yeah,
Actually, I think
yeah,
that in 2022 was lots of rain, or maybe it was 2023. It rained almost every fucking day. Like it was like really horrible, really horrible. Then the bugs were really horrible. But then it's been a pretty dry summer.
Yeah, for better or worse, it has been rather dry,
Which means the winter.
But yeah,
the winter might be bad, right?
that's what they're saying. You know, what I mean, people are always saying gonna be a bad winter. You know, or the buzz I've been hearing, André, is that it's gonna be an early winter this year.
Early. Well, it's a little cold today. It's a little cold today. Little breeze in the air, a little chill in the air.
Yeah, there is a little breeze. That old, I mean, I guess you're a little bit more inland, but the old Hurricane Aaron, you know, I never really liked that name. Sorry, any Aarons out there. But Hurricane Aaron that came ripping up the coast really left a little windy aftermath. I don't know, maybe that's some of the ripple, and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I'm no meteorologist.
You're sounding pretty good. You sound just as good as the ones that are always on the telly. So
yeah, getting paid to be wrong all the time. Well, yeah, man. Hey, I wanted to pick your brain a little bit, André. You know, I met you in New York. I know you lived in New Jersey or a little bit. So it's fun. So let's learn a little bit about André, as much as you're willing to tell us. Where'd you grow up, André?
I grew up all over the world, all over the country. But I was born in Trenton, New Jersey. And I was just telling my father-in-law his story in the kitchen earlier today, as I was preparing this Taylor ham for my children.
Right.
So somehow there's a little store over here that has Taylor ham. I ran out to grab some wine last night, and I was like, you know what? Let me grab some. My father-in-law had never had of it. He's like, it smells so good. Like, what is it? And I was like, oh, it's, something from my childhood, that I grew up on, that then I moved to Texas, and I moved all over the place, but you could never find it. But something that I could only get back in New Jersey. And I was
now Trenton.
Yes.
Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, get in there.
But in Trenton, just me, myself being from New Jersey, and this Taylor ham pork roll, for folks that are listening that maybe don't know what it is. It's this like breakfast sausage, we could call it. It's this round log of meat that you slice up and you fry up in a pan or on a griddle, and it's tangy and salty, and it's just absolutely delightful. And it's just a real cult classic. People love it in the New Jersey tri-state area. But what I'm getting at is Trenton a pork roll, or is that a Taylor ham town?
It's a Taylor ham town, I think.
Is it?
Well, this is what I would say. I'm not real sure. Like, I grew up calling it pork roll. Is what we called it. I didn't know Taylor ham was the brand name. So we just called it
right.
Yeah, we just called it pork roll. Well, funny thing, I was telling my father-in-law the story how we used to have this family that used to come into Per Se quite a bit. Once a month with their mom. It was with mom and like two of their older children, but they were older, like in their 50s. And everybody thought they were the Boar's Head people. And I remember I'd go by to take care of the table as far as wine and chat with the mom, and she ordered some crazy champagne, and she says, so where are you from? And I say, Trenton, New Jersey. And she says, hey, I'm gonna tell you a little secret. She goes, come here. And I go, what? She goes, don't ever tell anybody that. And then she started laughing. And she goes, no, I'm just joking. We're our business is located in Trenton, New Jersey, but we live in Princeton. And she goes, you ever heard of Taylor ham? And I said, pork roll? She goes, yeah. She goes, that's our family. That's, my husband started that. Yeah. So, I mean, just crazy. But, they obviously weren't eating pork roll at Per Se. But it was just an interesting story.
Wasn't on the menu.
Yeah, not on the menu. No, sir. No,
Oh.
sir. No, sir.
What
Different
would you pair with
establishment.
a little pork? What would you pair with a little pork roll
Oh.
anyway, Andre?
You know what? I think for me, probably a little white burgundy. A little, like a little
Ooh.
morceau, you know, nothing crazy. A little nuttiness, a little brioche, kind of like, kind of interacting like with the bread. If I was going to do a red, maybe a little gamay, maybe a little Beaujolais, from one of the
Yeah,
Grand Crus,
okay.
maybe Furly, maybe with a slight little chill on it. I like that. I actually
Yeah.
like that with the egg option. So if it was
You
the
do?
straight up sandwich, yeah. So if it was the straight up, you know, the sandwich, what is it? Ketchup, what is it? Salt, pepper, ketchup, egg,
Yeah.
and Taylor
Taylor
ham.
ham, egg, and
Yeah.
cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there I'd probably go with Beaujolais. So a little red, with a
Okay.
little chill on it. I think that would serve me well.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I love that, man. The Taylor family. Was she an older lady?
Well, yeah, those were her sons. Her sons were in their
Okay.
60s. Yeah, so she was
Oh,
older. She was
okay, wow.
awesome. Yeah, she was really awesome. She told really great stories and jokes, but like, yeah, that whole thing, I was like, oh. She was like, oh, she goes, no, that's what we do. That's our families. And that's, you know,
Yeah,
and it's
Taylor-
legendary. It's good. I mean, they stay at the Carlisle.
And they're the ones Taylor brand pork roll is the one that like went national, right? Like that's when you go into the supermarket and you can get they have the little red box where it's the pre-sliced ones, or you can even get like the mini log. Stuff's not cheap either.
No, it's not. It's not. And it comes wrapped in like a little case.
cloth.
Yeah, like a cloth,
Yeah.
like, yeah, so it's like cloth bound. Cloth bound meat.
It's incredible stuff. It's smoky, it's tangy, probably traditionally fermented. I feel like we've went down this rabbit hole talking about this before, but
We
great
did.
product. If you're
We did.
if you're
It was
ever
great.
if you go check out in your bacon aisle in your local supermarket and get yourself a little Taylor ham pork roll.
Especially
all right?
if you're on the
family will
East
thank
Coast.
you.
Yeah.
Is it not? I think it's national.
Well, so I would say that maybe it is, but the only place I knew that I could get it outside of the tri-state area before 2004 was in Texas.
Oh.
And so maybe
I can see Texas.
maybe now it's like nationwide. I would
No,
hope
people,
so.
I know what you mean. I guess
Yeah.
what I mean by national is that you can get, ladies and gentlemen, this is a podcast about pork roll, but I think you can get it in a bunch of supermarkets around the country that's sliced like 5 slices for like $9.
Oh,
like
I do
that
remember.
little
I do
red
remember the
box.
individually sliced ones. Yes.
Check out your little
Yes.
bacon section in the
Don't miss
supermarket,
out.
ladies and gentlemen, and get yourself one. One of my favorite ways to do it is sear it nice. Give it a nice little crisp to it. I do it on a toasted everything bagel with mustard. No egg.
Oh,
It's good.
that sounds really
Real
great. I've
good.
been digging the everything bagel seasoning.
Yeah,
That's been great.
toasted up. Yeah, good bagel. Hey man, so all right, so you grew up all over the place.
So
So
grew-
military?
Yeah, so my parents were in the military. My mom wore combat boots, right? But yeah, we lived
she
in
was
Germany.
badass?
Yeah, she's pretty badass. And yeah, and so we just kind of traveled everywhere. My mom's first love was like Texas, so she loved Texas. We moved to Texas like when I was like the first place from New Jersey. We moved to like Killeen, Texas. Yeah, and then we kind of found our way back to like Savannah, and then from Savannah to Germany back to Kansas, like back to the States, Kansas City, Maryland, Kansas City. I don't know. It's just all over the place.
What are we,
But
Air Force here?
No,
Marines?
no, Army.
Army.
Yeah, we're Army. Yeah, and so we came back. And,
Dad was too?
Texas. Yeah, both parents were officers in the military.
Whoa.
So we, yeah, you know, make your bed before you leave, you know, kind of thing.
Squared away or what? No bullshit. Mom
No
and dad
bullshit.
ain't taking no bullshit.
No, bounce a quarter
Like
off,
that.
square your meals off. You know it. You
I
know.
like it. You know, not
Yeah.
enough kids, you know, have my kids are little animals, little spoiled brats.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I guess it's my fault, right? I mean, it's not like I don't yell, but like, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like maybe I started too late with I gotta get control of these little kids. You got a couple kids, don't you, Andre?
A couple, man. Yeah, I have four boys, so it's a madhouse over here every day. And
4 boys.
yeah, 17 and 15, and
Gosh.
9 and 6. And so,
Oh yeah, you got the whole.
yeah,
the
it's
whole
an
roller
adventure
coaster.
every single day, bro. Every day it is something. You
Yes,
know,
sir.
yeah. So it's
4
amazing
kids,
that
God.
we get out at like, normally like we can get out of the house like on schedule, maybe by like 5 or 8 minutes. So we're getting to be pretty good at it,
That's not bad. So military, that must have been tough, man. Different schools, different was high school. Like, did you go to a couple high schools, or did you guys like kind of settle down by then? Or
Yeah, we went to it's like every 2 years we moved.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, I like it. I mean, I felt good about it. Like I don't know. It wasn't that, it wasn't like that you were there long enough to form any kind of real friendship, like deep friendship. So I don't know. It felt like always a new beginning to me. Right. So it's like, oh,
yeah, I guess.
you move to someone else, you get a new house, you get a new room, new friends, new way to interact. I don't know. It was just something that I got fairly used to.
Yeah, fresh new scene. I mean, I kind of dig. I mean, I guess there's like either you hate it or you kind of love it, right? Like,
Yep.
but I guess I could see the good side to that. Like, whenever there was like a new kid that would come in, especially if he wasn't like a troll, like a goober, like the new kid comes in and like the girls are always into the new guy. You're always like the new guy every 2 years. This fresh little,
And
who's
you get
this
the
guy?
attention. Yeah, you get the attention. It's good,
And then you're like, I'm out of here.
Yep. Peace.
On to the next town.
One night in town, be down and get clown. You know what I mean? I'm out.
That's it. That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
So high school, I mean, I guess you had a pretty good, you play sports or what were you doing?
Yeah, I
Nothing?
played basketball. I was pretty good at basketball. I played a lot. Like I played a little bit in college, not a full year, but yeah, I did
cool.
spend some time. I spent a lot of time playing sports, but it was basketball.
Organized team or just like pick
Oh
ups
yeah,
and-
no, yeah, organized high school, varsity, like potential. So we're at your first hear that word potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and this, so high schools were in Texas?
Yeah, both were in Texas, and yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed San Antonio, Texas. It was, I don't know. It really had a small town mentality. I mean, it is the 8th largest city in America.
Is it really?
Yeah, and 55% of the population is Hispanic. So it's big, another culture. So it was just really fun and interesting, and it was it. But like, definitely have that longing of wanting to go to a real city, to move away, kind of thing, like
Sure.
outgrowing the city, so to speak.
Common story around. Around
right.
the
Tell me
world,
about
right?
it. Yep. Yep.
So then your parents, I mean, I know you being into wine and food and stuff. Were your folks into food much? Was that like, were your parents cooking, or mom had, loved the little Cabernet, or?
Yeah, we didn't, there wasn't a lot of drinking, outside of the occasional holiday share. There wasn't just like, I'm having a beer today, right, kind of thing.
Okay.
So it wasn't that. Like, food was a big part. Like, I think, both parents cooked quite a bit. My dad had his core things that he did, but anything meat, you'd go out back and he'd show you how to work the grill. But we really loved to go out to eat to restaurants. That was always really fun. And, I think, for me, it was more like, it was a big thing. Cause I think my report card was tied to like food, right? So for like
cool.
every A I earned or something like that, I got like a half pound of crab legs and my pops would crack them for me. You know what I mean?
like that.
You know what I mean? So that kind of thing.
Yes,
So it's like,
sir.
so yeah. So, you go in there and, get 20 pounds, 25 pounds. I mean,
Dang, doing
not
some
a half pound.
damage, Daddy.
No,
Let's
just
go,
kidding.
buddy. I like it. That's
That's
a fucking
crazy.
sheet tray.
Nobody. I was not getting 25 pounds. I'm just joking.
You must have been doing real good in school, man. I wish
Not
I
that
got.
good.
Well, hey, I didn't get many A's, but if I did, I sure as hell wasn't getting no food from it, man. But it's probably because I didn't have enough leverage, man. So going out to restaurants, that sounds like that got instilled in you at a pretty young age. Just like the kind of. I mean, I remember going out and like having like your first like good like a nice restaurant where like the service is like just as important as like the meal, right? Where like you feel taken care of, and like it's a beautiful thing, man. So how did you get in? It must have been. How'd you get into wine then, Andre? I mean, there must have been a bunch before that. Would you go to college then? You said you played a little ball there for the first
so
year.
I played a little bit of college. I played in college, but I probably did maybe 2 years of college, and that was it for me. Yeah, and it was just like, okay, I want to make money. I want to do some other things. But so I worked in restaurants, and that was kind of easy money. And I think like it came, it's like you worked in fast food, right? I worked in fast food. Then next thing you know, I work in a restaurant that I'm like cooking, I'm in the back, right? Or I'm doing the dishes or like whatever, doing the prep. And then,
So back of the house.
yeah. So back of the house at the beginning. And then you realize
Yep.
that like, oh, wow, the waiters always complain, but they make a whole bunch of money. And you're like,
Yeah.
and then you're like, they're no smarter than me. What the fuck is this about? Right. So then I remember one day I just came in a suit and applied for a waiter's job and got that job. And so that's kind of how it started. And then I went on to work at Citicorp Investment Services. I was a licensed stockbroker. We took to the Series 7 and the Series 63. And I worked at the Citicorp in San Antonio for about 2 years. And that job kind of sucked. You know what I mean? You didn't have the interaction with people in the same way that you did in a restaurant. Like the idea of being a waiter and walking up to a table of strangers, right? And like getting to know them over 60 minutes. You know that, right? Like getting to talk to them, all that kind of thing, winning them over, whatever that might be. But then, and then after that, and then there was another table, and then there was another table. At this place, people just picked up the phone and asked you stock quotes, right? It was for any type of iPhone or smartphone or anything like that. So it just wasn't fulfilling that way.
Yeah. Job sounds good on paper, right? It sounds like you're doing the right thing, and maybe it could be a good career, and it is for a lot of folks. But I get that, right? But like something's off. Like it's not scratching the itch, man. You're not feeling good doing it. You probably started to see the writing on the walls. Like I'm gonna hate doing this in 10 years.
Oh yeah, no, totally. And then I think, the stars align. They were purchased by Travelers Group, so it was the whole idea there was a merger, and then they were like, you know what, you can take severance or reapply. And I was like, severance? I don't even know what that is. You know what I mean? Like, what, am I getting fired? Like, I can't go home. I can't go home and tell my mom I got fired. Right? You know what I mean? So it was like this thing of just like trying to like understand it. And then stars aligned. I took that break. I went back to working in crappy restaurants for a while. And then during that time, I was watching, old episodes of Frasier. And it was the way that the two brothers talked about wine or alcohol. They had this real camaraderie around it. And I don't know, that show gave me the courage to walk into a wine shop for the first time in my life, just to kind of explore it, not to think that it would be any type of career or I could make any type of living on it. It was just like, wow, they look like they're having fun. I wish I was having fun.
They were having fun.
And I want to drink some, drink some wine. Yep.
Now that you mention it, I love, first of all, I love that as how Frasier, which is a great show, by the way, but inspired you because they were smart, well-spoken, passionate about it, right? Like they start going off about wine. They're like, pour me a little bit. Like you get that like really romanticized and like the art and the beauty behind it. And like, that's amazing, man. So then from there, you just started... You enjoyed drinking wine then, or you just was like really interested about learning about it? Or?
Well, yeah, I just started to drink it. Like it was less about I think it was less about learning about it, so to speak. You know what I mean? Like interest in that. It was like, oh, they're drinking it. It looks cool. I want to drink it and experience what their experience. And then it evolved to this thing of like, when you meet people in the wine business, they talk about catching the wine bug. Eventually you hit this point where it's all encompassing, right? So you're just like, wow, okay. So now I'm reading about it during the daytime, right? Like then I'm tasting them at night, and and then I'm doing exercises with maps and all these things, and then it just took off. I was just like every waking moment was about wine.
Just doing exercises on maps. That's not like it's not a common thing for folks that just want to. So you've had, what I'm saying? Like I've never like hit the map and was like, you really took an interest to it, man. It sounds like you started to dig deep on your own.
Oh yeah,
on your own time. It wasn't benefiting work, or was that like an idea of trying to?
It benefited work, right? Like so at work, like you realize that like the most expensive thing on the menu is maybe a 3-pound lobster at like $75, $100.
Right.
Most expensive wine is like $800, $1,200. Like I'm in it for the money. I need to know something about that. So it was kind of that thing. You start with a little training, but for me, after I got a little bit of the training, it was just, all in. And so, and then it was the thing is like, you realize like, oh, there's a thing called a sommelier, and there's like a job. And I didn't understand that at the beginning. And I was like, I want to do that thing. If I can do that thing in the restaurant, and that was it. And then I just devoted every waking moment. It's pretty insane. I don't do a lot of reflection, but when I look back, you're like, holy shit. Like, yeah. So like less than 2 years, I was the sommelier at the French Laundry.
Whoa, well, that's a big jump there from
Yep.
quitting stockbroking and going back into some restaurants,
Correct.
catching the wine bug, as they say.
Yep.
Sounds like you certainly caught the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And then, so from 2 years from when you started scratching around with wine is when you learned
2 years. Yeah.
So is
2
that
years.
wow, I think it's like it's like rushing med school. Like is that all self-taught, or did you go to take classes, or is that
Well, yeah, no, I mean, you didn't have classes back then. So it was kind of like, if you were in New York, you had access to that kind of stuff, but in Texas, I didn't have any of it. So you self-taught, right? So you study all the material, and then you go and there's a proctor and you take an exam. And, for one thing, like, you study the whole time, then it's a 3-day seminar. And at the end of that, there's a test and you pass or not. And so I felt like tests were just ways to prove that actually know something, right? So that's how I started. And so, yeah, that was it. I took the first level to everything. And then I got an opportunity to work at the French Laundry, which to me, I felt like was the catalyst, of okay, now you're actually learning, like, you can apply all of those different wine regions and all the things you've been learning. You can apply them here at this type of restaurant. You got to taste some of the world's most unbelievable and rare wines. So as a palate education, like, that part was in development, that part was happening. And you just took your books with you, and you worked your ass off, but then you got up and made time, and the only time you really had was to study. But it was pretty quick. Yeah.
Was the test that you took, I mean, talk to me about that. It was probably hard as hell. I mean, like, a sommelier, what's it take to become a sommelier?
Well, I mean, a sommelier is really just, it's a title that a restaurant bestows upon you, right? So, like, whatever that could be, just like the term chef, right? When you say chef, it's yeah. So it's kind of interchangeable in that same way. But yeah, I mean, you study a lot. This is what I would say is that first level test that I took, they weren't hard, right? It's because I had studied quite a bit. Now, there's levels to those tests. Like, so, the Court of the Master Sommelier is like their highest level. Like, those tests are hard, and it takes people about 5 years to pass a test like that.
Have you gone through some of the steps there?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I think at some point for me, you realize that. So I did the first level of that thing, but I have real work-life experience, right? So I'm working in a restaurant, so I'm practicing that every day. I have 4 or 5 other sommeliers who work with me, that I'm in charge of, that report to me, and then you kind of like, so I was learning. I had the number one job, so. Right. That part was something personal, I think, like to become a master sommelier. Like I was already making more than most master sommeliers, right? Like, so like you like earning potential. Then, I already had one of the best jobs, right? In the world for what I did. So yeah, so I've did a little bit of it, and and then in the end, what you realize is in 5 years for initials behind your name, and I get that, and recognition and understanding that you've kind of mastered this thing somewhat, right? Or, I can't give initials to my children, right? So like they don't hand down like the MS, Master Sommelier, MW, that's not a legacy that I could pass on to my children. And so, and in 5 years, I built a multi-million-dollar business, which is transferable to my children, right? So
I'd
like
say
for me, it was like, instead of taking 5 years to try to pass a test, I spent every waking moment in 5 years building a business. And
sounds like a pretty good idea on your end there, Andre. So I want to ask you a little bit about about the French Laundry. For folks that don't know, or I'm sure plenty still do, was what Thomas Keller was that? We're talking Napa Valley, right?
Yep.
Like it was arguably, right? I mean, it was voted one of the best restaurants in the country, if not the world, for a while, right? It was a big deal,
restaurant,
man.
Yeah, number one restaurant in the world for 2 or 3 years, when I
wow,
worked there.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. Just like it just squared away high quality ingredients and execution and recipes, obviously, and then in this immaculate, I'm sure, matching wine program, right? That you happen to get a job very much involved in. How is working at that that level and people. And I mean, like you said, you tasted probably
Yeah.
some of the most, harder to get for either availability or price wines you could at that point. Are we talking early 2000s?
Yeah. So yeah, early 2000s, like 02, 03.
Mhm.
It was amazing to work there. It was like you worked at a place where everybody cared. I had worked in places where, like bistros, everybody's playing grab ass, like when the manager's not looking. You know what I mean? So it wasn't
Right.
like, you know what I mean? The manager would come over and say, stop that. And then the manager would turn his back and leave. And then people would go back to whatever the shenanigans were.
Nobody's working there because it's just a job and they're
Correct.
fantasizing about something else. If you're working, cooking,
Correct.
pouring wine, it's
This is
because
about a
you want to
career.
be there.
Yep.
And you're passionate.
Yeah. And everybody,
And that makes
so.
Yeah, man, that makes such a difference, right?
Oh.
Is being around people that are just not, well, who knows, some of them might be losers, but like just like squared away on top of it, want to be there, care to be there. It just makes that whole atmosphere go in there and just be in there and doing a service. That's awesome, man. You were there
Well,
for a couple of years.
everybody's held accountable, right? Like, so
Right.
a lot of people didn't get fired. A lot of people resigned or quit. Like they couldn't, it was the idea of being able to handle the pressure or handle the stress level. And so that was always a thing. And it's like at most good restaurants, you probably have a handful of people, maybe 2 or 3 people who actually care. And so you get run down, blah, blah, blah. Like there, like everybody holds everybody accountable. And, we used to have this saying, work to impress the person that you work side by side with, right? Because nobody is in it like they are. Right. They're so into what they're doing in food that like we all work at this place. Right. If it's not really about the money, it's about, skill and career and camaraderie and, a higher purpose. And so it it almost felt like, it kind of felt like a camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
And I feel, was it not like, it didn't, I don't think Thomas or his restaurants were notoriously known for being like a loud kitchen, right? Or is he yelling at? No, it wasn't like
that. So I got there after the yelling phase. So,
okay.
So he used to be, but he's very quiet. Like, so quiet in the sense of like, he speaks really low but it's a callback kitchen, right? So it's, he said, I'll need, 6, blah, 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 pick up, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody responds back to say that they heard him. Yes, chef. So,
Gotcha.
You hear the cadence of that where it sounds, like the military
brigade
kind of
and very
like
very
that,
brigade
but,
format.
Yeah, but nobody's back there talking.
Right.
You know,
right,
you know
right,
what I mean?
right.
Like, nobody's. You're not talking to your fellow cook on Grand Manger about the fucking Niners game.
Right. Everyone's fucking
no.
focused.
Everybody's
here,
dialed in, focused. You're not talking about anything.
Right.
You're not saying.
Yeah,
one
he
word
seems
unless
like
you're talking-
the kind of guy where if he was like your dad, like he wouldn't yell at you, but he'd just like look at you and you'd be like, oh God.
Yeah. Well, the
you know,
disappointment. That was the thing.
the disappointment.
Where he would be disappointed in you or a situation, and you felt it.
Sucks.
You felt it, but you understood, that what it took to like build something like that. Like it took a lot. It takes a lot. And I found that like previous jobs, hard days work meant like your back and your feet hurt, right? Especially in that business, right? Where you just pull a 16-hour shift or whatever it is, and you're running around. But there, it was like your feet and your back hurt, but your brain was mush.
Sure.
Like the intensity level was really high, attention to detail, understanding, running food, the plates, the dishes, like everything. And so it was a lot. It was a lot.
Yeah, you're not just dropping fries for 6 hours. Yeah.
No. And,
so man, you must have learned a lot that must have been a pretty handsome addition to your education in the wine world.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. You went from reading about all of these wines, in guides or in, industry rags, but like when you got to taste it every day, I mean, at some point you're like, nah, 45 Mouton, like, now I got to finish the spreadsheet. I had it 2 times last week. Right. You know what I mean? Like you become like so used to some of the most rare wines coming through. But yeah, it was amazing. And I felt like, and for me, I came with the attitude that I needed each day that I worked there to be like 2 days. So I was always inquisitive. I was always curious. I was always diving into stuff and, not just wine, just trying to, because as a sommelier in a restaurant like that, you're kind of really like a lieutenant on the floor. So I still have to know what's in the food because we need to pair the wine with the food. We need to know the techniques just because of that helps you select, with clarity, different styles of wines in your approach. But then you have to know the service. You set the service standards, the beverage standards. But basically you're a captain. So you're watching the table, and at any given point, I can walk to the dining room and tell you which each table is, which part of the menu that they're on, and like what wine is supposed to be coming down next. They're gonna switch wines out in between this course, 2 courses over there. You have this prep, so it was just one of those things where attention to detail was something that was ingrained in you. And it took probably about 6 months after leaving the restaurant to really kind of decompress fully.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss it, parts of it at all, or?
No, not really. I'm grateful for the experience I've had. And, and when I'm missing that, a little bit of that feeling, either I'll go throw a wine dinner at that place or I'll go have dinner at that place. But other than that,
scratch the itch real quick.
Yeah. And you get there, but I don't miss it. I don't miss it that much.
So early 2000, what are we, 2000? When did you meeting winemakers out there? You learn, is that something that is of an interest at you at that point, or?
Yeah. So we're in the heart of wine country. So when in Rome, we spent a lot of time. So like basically from early morning, 7:30, 8:30 till like 2:30, I spent, at a handful of wineries in the valley, just trying to learn, understand the lay of the land, just like whatever odd job, just trying to connect the dots and be around it. And then, I think I had to show up at work at 3:30, and then 3:30 to like 1:30 in the morning. And then we start all over again. I had an amazing time there. It was like so being around wine country was like great. At the same time, Thomas had taken on his own personal wine project that we had a chance to work on as well. And so, it happened very quickly, but it was firing on all synapses. Like it was just like circuit board overload, but like you can't sleep because the high is the high. And it's like, okay, I'm like in it. And then to meet like-minded people and to exchange stories, and all these people and friends and friendships that you kind of cultivated, they would actually go back to where they're, to their home country, or, it was just international. It was amazing. And just techniques.
That's what's cool about, I mean, wine or food for that matter, but wine specifically now, right? It's like Formula One racing of beverages, you know what I mean? Like it's international. All the big fucking big dicks. Everyone wants their big, wine cellar and their this and that. And like, it's a pretty wild world.
No, it is. I mean, in the early 2000s, people were spending money on wine like you wouldn't believe. I mean, it was just like, two top $16,000 on wine, right? You're just like, what? 5 couples, $50,000, $54,000 in wine.
Isn't that wild? You start seeing that world, that
and you saw everybody. It was just unbelievable. Like the most rare wines and expensive wines you couldn't even keep on the menu.
Isn't that crazy?
Yep. And most of the time they let you choose it for them. Right. So it was just, it was a utopia in a lot of ways. But but there's a price to pay. Right. It's like,
well, it's your life.
Chef, correct. For at least for however long you were there. And I think that's how it was. Like, if you're here for 2 months, give me everything you got. 2 years, 20 years. It never, I expect every ounce of everything that you have. And, and I think for me, when you start to realize that you didn't have anything else for yourself, like after work or for 2 hours or for even 30 minutes, like you couldn't scrape together 30 minutes for your own dream or to dream about your own dream. That's when it started to hit and realize like, oh, maybe it's time to go do something else.
You could just work your ass off for 20 years for, you know what I mean? Unless you want to open up your own restaurant or wine company or importer or get your own vineyard. I mean, what's the move? You know what I mean? Like, did you have, speaking of dreams at that point, I mean, it sounds like you kind of achieved one of them, just working at somewhere like French Laundry. Was French Laundry, was that the end of the road for sommelier restaurant world for you?
No, I moved to New York City in 2004 to open up the sister restaurant per se. So I was a beverage
cool.
person there. Yeah. So I worked there for 3 years.
Was that the reason why you went there? Were they like, come help us open up?
Yeah. Yeah. So I
Okay,
came
cool.
to New York to work with the restaurant. And yeah, spent 3 years doing it. And then that was when it was kind of like, oh, it's, maybe it's time to move on. And I think at that point, I wanted to continue to learn about wine, but, outside of the four walls of the restaurant. So I thought, if I could make my own wine, I could continue to learn about wine. Then I could scratch a couple other itches I had. I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I wanted to have a little bit more creativity in my life. So I felt like those, by making wine or starting to do that, I could scratch those itches and kind of move forward. And that's kind of how it started. So, I started the company back in 2007, and then basically for 3 years off and on, I started this business and had to pick up odd jobs or consulting jobs to kind of really get it off the ground. It wasn't until 2010 that I started traveling the world to sell
So when you
wines.
say 2007, you started a business, what business are you talking about?
I started a company called, it was called Maison Noir Wines. So it was a wine company that I started making wine out of the Willamette Valley and a little bit of Napa at the beginning. And I started that company.
Willamette, isn't that in Oregon, correct?
Yep. So in Oregon, so Pinot Noir in Oregon, but like the first wines I made were 2006, and that was from California. So I made a little bit of Californias from Napa.
So what are you doing? You're buying grapes, sourcing grapes, and then making your own.
Yeah, so
making your own
sourcing
wine.
grapes, like at the beginning, it was like grapes, but like, it's funny because when you're in that inner circle, a friend of the restaurant who became a dear friend of mine, basically, I was with him. So it was like being signed to a record company, right? So it was like,
Gotcha.
oh, whatever you want, there's the fruit, like whatever. So, I was working with them, but, valuable lesson, what you learn is that if you don't have any skin in the game, you're the last person to get paid if you ever get paid. You know what I mean? So it was like one of those business lessons to kind of learn that, and then when you ask for money, much like in the record business, I think as movies we see, we're like, hey, I was wondering about that check. And they're like, hey, we just bought a new vineyard, call my office and Gretchen will get you a ticket. You know what I mean? Look at this new shiny thing over here. But it was a really valuable experience for me. But yeah, so basically we were buying grapes. I was using his facility, like he was fronting all the money, and it was like a whole bunch of it. And so like I've done it, I've done it that way, and then I've done it, other ways, but that was how we started. We didn't make a lot of wine, maybe 300 cases at the beginning. So it was something really small. I kept having to go back to work because my money would run out. I didn't go and raise any money. So it wasn't like, what I mean? It wasn't like I had this like war chest. You know what I mean? It was just
Were you selling the wine, right? I mean,
oh yeah, I was selling it. Yeah. So basically that was it. I was selling it. And I think there were a couple other sommeliers in that program, but like they actually worked for big restaurants that they could sell to themselves, so to speak. I didn't.
Gotcha.
I had already left. So,
Gotcha.
I did what everybody else, what felt natural to me as a waiter or working in a restaurant. It's like, I just treated every single state and every single account as like a section. And so I'm just going up to a table and telling them what we have on the menu, walking them through the menu. So showing them the wines, telling the stories. And that was it. I did that for a decade, almost every single week.
Wow.
To 2020. And so that was kind of how that started. So I started this company, and it was through the good graces of people I had met over the last 5 years. So it was just kind of like, I didn't have any money. They believed in me, and they were like, yeah, sure, we can sell you this fruit and you can pay us when you sell it. So
amazing.
Yeah. So it wasn't necessarily a business at that time. It was a hustle that eventually became a business.
It sounds like it didn't have like a home either, right? You were kind of just like, it was like an artistic outlet that you sold on the side. And I mean, was it paying your bills at that point?
Well, no, I mean, it didn't, it didn't start paying my bills until, basically in 5 years, it was financial freedom.
Right.
Right. So
right. Okay.
Yeah, it paid more than just the bills. It was just a sense of freedom that I had never experienced before in my life. And especially for my family, with 4 children, like it was just like, oh, but yeah, so it was, it did at some point. So from 07 to 2010, it was off and on. And then 2010, it was like after my second kid was born, it was just like, okay, I really got to go do the thing and see if it
Buckle down on it.
Yeah, if it works out, right? You know what I mean? And that just meant traveling. You know, and I just felt the more I traveled, the more I met people.
Now, what do you mean traveling? So just like being a salesman for your own wine type
Correct.
of deal?
Yeah, telling the story. So yeah, basically
Okay,
that was
amazing.
so that was it. I would fly, let's say Monday was a travel day. So I would travel wherever I need to travel Monday. I'd work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday, I would either take the latest flight back to New York or for early Friday morning flight. So home for dinner on Friday, kids on soccer practice on Saturday, Sunday, take the trash out, and then do it all over again.
Yeah, wow. And are you going to like liquor stores, wine stores?
Yeah, everything. Yeah.
restaurants,
So we
everything?
could visit accounts during the day. So anybody who sold wine, so it would be retail shops or restaurants, and then at night I would do dinners.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So yeah, so you got to meet
And
all the
that
industry
really-
during the day, and then anybody who was, you know, who was a fan or like was a good customer of ours or supported us, you know, they would, they would promote, and it would be a wine dinner where, you know, I'd probably do maybe 3 a week, maybe 4 a week for
Oh, wow.
a decade. Yeah.
Wow,
So,
that's a hustle, man.
yeah, no, but you know, and it's one of those things where people are like, you know, it wouldn't have, if I worked for Kraft Cheese, it wouldn't have been fun to be on the plane like that.
Sure.
Right.
It's your
But when
thing,
you,
man. And
when
like,
you're doing it for you and your family, and you're like, if this feels like there's more at stake, and it's actually more gratifying. I think you understand that now.
Yeah.
I've been through that, right? Where, you know, it's a little bit of this, right? But
Sure,
like,
man.
you're like, it's like you eat what you kill, but like, and then the idea of like building it and being like, oh, okay, like this is it. Right. And so much to the point where you don't contemplating retiring, but like contemplating like living in Europe for 6 months. I was like, I'm not.
sure.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
right.
It's like, I don't want, you know what I mean? It's like, I could, but like, that's not why I wanted to do it, you know, kind of thing. So,
So are you are your grapes coming? Are you in this part in that 10-year hustle? Is there a home base? Where you living? Where are you making wine
oh
from?
yeah. So we're making wine in Oregon at a custom cuts facility. I'm living here in New York. I'm married a New Yorker, started a business on the other side of the country. So 1 week a month, I would be in Oregon. Right. So, I mean,
Why
like I said,
Oregon? I mean, that
yeah, Willamette Valley is a place that spoke to me. I feel like Pinot Noir was like my first love, and you know that was
Okay.
red Burgundy. That was from France, and also, but you know, Oregon was just more attractive. Like it was the styles of wines that I liked, and I really thought, you know, Pinot Noir done domestically, who's doing it best, and you know, it's Willamette Valley in my opinion, and then it was like lower cost to entry, cheaper fruit. Like, you know, it was all of these things. It wasn't oversaturated. The average
and
winery
it's
made
Oregon, man.
5,600 cases, right? So
Mm.
it felt like that. And you know, those are my people, you know what I mean? Patagucci, Subarus, you know what I'm saying? Like,
It was the Bush. It was the Bushwick of West wine before Bushwick became really cool. you
yes,
know?
especially on Division Street in Portland. But yes.
Sure. yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was it.
That
was
valley
the
too.
thing.
I mean,
Yeah.
for folks that don't. I've been a couple times, and I say it incorrectly all the time. What's how you pronounce the valley? again?
Willamette, like, damn it. Willamette.
Willamette.
Willamette
Willamette,
Valley.
like damn it. Yeah, I was just out there recently doing checking out a pig farm with my buddy Eli from Olympia Provisions, and like what a beautiful area, man. What a fertile little like. We went to this one farm. It was called the Deck Family Farm, and it was like a little oasis. It was just like this little. There was like kids running around and cherries and apples. It was just food growing everywhere. I mean, like by design, but it was just like, man, like things really seem to thrive pretty well out there.
Yeah,
Pretty-
it's a real special place. Yeah, and we used to spend the summers there for quite some time, and then our oldest kids discovered camp, which is a New England thing. So
Right.
so we don't, that's not home base anymore. But yeah, I was making at a Custom Crush. We already had, you know, long-term contracts with suppliers, so like that was, you know, fruit was locked in, and I was learning on both sides of it. And I don't know, it was, you know, it was magic. You know, it was really hard at the time, especially like when you're like, I only have money for a hotel or for one night, but I need the car for 2 nights. And then I would get a
Sure.
zip car, sleep in the parking garage in the zip car. go to the counts the next day and then check into the hotel the next day. You know what I mean? So it was really tough in a lot of those places where like you really didn't have a penny to your name. But
Yeah, man,
that made it
sounds like
sweeter,
yeah, absolutely, man. It sounds like you really no one can say you didn't earn or work for that one, man. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty awesome stuff that you built there. And then now what? So like you can find your wine across the country?
Yeah,
Yeah?
wines are in all 50 states, maybe 27 countries, something like that.
Oh,
At
wow.
restaurants and retails, yeah. Oh, that was international travel too. Sweden's my #1 export market.
Sweden.
Denmark. Yeah, Sweden, Denmark. How was the other big
Asia?
one? Switzerland was good. Oh yeah, so Korea and Japan are really good for us.
Yeah. I think that I remember hearing somewhere, reading somewhere that the Chinese buy up a ton of wine too. They're
Yeah,
like super
totally.
into,
Yeah. We're not in there yet, but like, that all of Asia, Singapore, Australia,
I mean, wherever there's money,
France.
there's wine.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Not always my wine, but yes, you're right.
Right.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. So you are producing wine solely from Oregon these days?
I have a couple other small projects. And a
cool.
big one. We do like a Washington State Cabernet, which I've always enjoyed. So it's called In Sheep's Clothing, and that's been a brand of ours that's kind of really taken off. But that Pacific Northwest area, I'm fond of.
Yeah.
I don't have.
It's pretty special, man.
Yeah, it is. It's no place like it. And
no, I could have ended up in the Pacific Northwest if I didn't take if I didn't go right and went left. I think I would have maybe ended up out there, man. I kind of, it's a special spot.
It feels like a place that you would appreciate. Like
I
just
do
knowing you.
appreciate it,
Yeah, it's like no, you could hang there.
I like the Pacific, the coastal Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, man. So how long you been? I mean, having your own company, man, and being able to. Sounds like you still currently live in. I know you're up in Vermont now, but do you still reside in New York a bit?
Yeah. We're still in Brooklyn. We're in Prospect Lefferts or Flatbush, however you want to call it.
Sure.
But yeah, that's our main residence, and that's where we live and raise our family. Summers we're up here in our place in Vermont. It didn't stop for me. This is just home base, so I'm just flying wherever I still need to go working.
Yep. And then are you still going out? Do you still make wine, or you just got a
crew
that
yeah.
makes
We make a lot of wine. Yeah, like 50, 60,000 cases, something like that.
Well, I mean, do you still enjoy making it, or
no, I do. And I think what's interesting too is that having a company is sometimes what's cool is the different facets in which you can still learn, but that, so it's like, oh, you switch to the video side, or you do more marketing, or, maybe I'm I'm into more like vineyard management as we signed a new lease on a vineyard, so there's lots of different facets to it. I do a lot of the sales still, but like, no, I enjoy a lot of different facets. Like, at some point, like you overindulge and then you're like, okay, I need to step back a little bit, and I want to focus on more like being in the lab.
Yeah.
So it's just not
that's smart.
one thing. Yeah.
I think that's smart too, right? And it makes, having, because I would imagine you could be really good at making wine, but really terrible at business and not have a successful company. You know what I mean? Like anything. So yeah, I think that's great that you can be able to utilize your assets in different ways than just, have someone make wine. There's a lot of different tentacles underneath running the business that you run.
Steve Jobs is not soldering the motherboards.
Right. Exactly.
Right. He wasn't putting them together. Right. So like, at some point, maybe at the beginning he was, but at some point, you do less and less as an owner, I think, or, you have the ability to pick and choose on the things that you want to contribute or how you want to interact with your own company.
Oh man, it's got to be a great feeling.
It is. It's been pretty great, man. It's been pretty amazing, actually.
So you mentioned before Pinot Noir. I think you mentioned that was like your first love.
Yeah.
So you kind of a red guy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just depends. I'm kind of any wine kind of guy. I think wine is more about a situational thing. That's what I like. I like to pair wine with situations, and like, we're going to the beach today. We're going to a barbecue
Mm.
today. We're going to the smash burger thing, fried
I
chicken
like
cook-off.
that. Yeah.
Right? Picnic, the idea, oyster riot. Like within that, you have favorites that you would like to bring. And then there's things that you gravitate to and like to drink. And so I think,
I like that. I like that approach to drinking.
Yeah.
Where it's like, especially with wine, it works really well. But it can
Mm.
it kind of work with anything, but especially with wine. Instead of just having your everyday, your glass of
Jack and
Pinot,
Coke.
that's
Yeah,
just
whatever,
like, that's
yeah.
your wine. That's
Yeah.
your wine. That's your, no matter what you're doing,
Correct.
Mary's drinking her fucking Santa Margarita or whatever.
Or
you know what I
toasted
mean?
head,
Like,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I think I love the ability to kind of, as you learn more about it, and you don't have to be, work at per se or be a sommelier for that matter, but just
No.
like, and there's so much information and on the internet and just information in general for that matter, where you can kind of have some fun with it and really learn a bit. And I go through phases with drinking wine, where it's like,
Okay.
sometimes it's like it's all I want and it's all I'm craving.
Mhm.
And then I don't touch it for a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll have it at dinner or something, but like, yeah, now I feel like coming back on now with the fall coming.
Oh yeah.
Might
no,
have
totally.
to get in.
Are you
But,
you red drinker?
I would have a similar answer to you. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
like, if
I
I'm
think
out
so.
on the boat, man, give me a nice little crispy Gruner or something, like a liter of Gruner, and then
Yeah.
maybe I'll drink the whole bottle,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, totally.
but I went through a kick and I still do. I mean, like, one of my first like funky loves outside of just like that first time you tasted like a big like cab like Grand Cru and you're just like, oh, like there's something special going on
Yeah, you
here.
can taste it.
But yeah, man, like it's something real. I remember the first time I went to Italy and had some of these like, these big reds, when it was
Uh-huh.
like, it was like a $60 bottle or 70. It was, to me, like,
Oh.
I would never buy that when I was younger
Uh-huh.
or something back home. You know what I mean? It's still a lot of money for a bottle of wine, right?
It
But like,
is. It
you
absolutely
take
is.
and like and it's just it's forget the price point, right? Because you get into some of these places and like you can spend $20 and get one of the best things you ever had, right? 20
True.
euros or something. You know what I mean? But I really went through a little phase too, and I still really love it. Was like Lambrusca started it for me. Like when you first,
Okay.
when you have a good Lambrusca,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a chilled little bubbly red that's got, it's dark
Pop
and
rock,
it's just like,
pop rocks, yeah.
oh, buddy, boy, it gets me going. And then it kind of developed into like that. I feel like it was a bitter, it had a moment where it was just like Italian or Spanish, like borderline, if not like pet nat type of like light effervescence, chilled. Like people started using the words like crushable and stuff.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
it was like, I love that little light effervescence, funky, like farmhouse, drink a couple glasses, go back to work kind of red wine. Little
Go back
chill,
to work.
little
You're old school. You're from
stank
Jersey
to-
too. You're from Jersey too.
Yeah. Have a nice little Lambrusca. You go, I was over in Lambrusca country over in Italy. I think we were over somewhere between Modena and somewhere else. They were making balsamic and they
Oh,
were
yeah, so
making
yeah.
Lambrusca. And I
Emilia
remember, man,
Romagna.
there was like the grandma and this little guy, he had 10 thumbs and he had his little overalls on, his white shirt. Classic, like, Italian fucking guy. And man, he would just, he would have this big old thing, drink it like it was a glass of lemonade, and then bang, he's back out into the bar and doing his thing. And I just love that, man. And it's just that like funky little, little pet natty thing. You ever like get into that, or is that just a flawed wine to you?
No,
or how-
I'm like to say I'm part of the good wine movement. If it's good, I want to drink it. Right?
it's
And
good, it's good.
I think that's it. And here's the kicker for everybody when I tell people, you're an expert in your own case. You don't need anybody to tell you what you like or don't like. And you should
That's
stand
good
on
advice.
that. And experiences out drinking are just supposed to make you more confident about what you do or don't like. And so that's how I look at it. I don't do the other stuff. And like if we had to separate them and say, the natural wine movement or the regular wine movement or traditional wine movement, like within both of those houses, they make shitty wine.
Right.
Right. So
Sure.
that's the deal. And some people say, is it bad that people like a flaw in a wine? Like, does it make it a flaw if it's coveted? right? If it's
If
what
you
people long
enjoy
for,
it,
yeah,
yeah,
and that's it. And so I look at it that way. When I talk about natural wine, I say, it's wine on a spectrum. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
right.
Like, some of this might have Asperger's, right? You know what I mean? You really trying to they're made differently. And so I don't know. And my other part of that is like, when I taste the wine blind, it shouldn't be, the first thing that's noticeable is the way that it was made and not the terroir, right? Where it's
Okay.
from. And I think for a lot of those wines, that, you smell them, you know that the way that they were made, and it doesn't lead much to like where it comes from. So that's just kind of me. But other than that, man, I encourage everybody to drink what you like, man. Who gives a shit? And
Right.
if that's what
right.
you like, that's what you like. Save the bullshit and the dogma,
Yep. Yep. Yeah. No, I think that's, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's great advice, man. I mean, like, if you enjoy it, so then great for you to keep on doing that. Right. Um,
Yeah, right.
you know what I really started liking too, man, was like, some of the Austrian wines,
Ah, so
and
good.
so good. And like, I get into the whites. I like dry. I don't really like sweet wines, but like
Mhm.
some of the dry whites, like a dry Riesling. I
Yep.
forget the producer. I'm so bad, Andre, with names, but it's like, you're gonna be like, no shit, Brad. Listen, but like, it was like a long blue bottle. I know,
Mm,
classic type
mm,
of like German Riesling or something.
mm,
I forget the producer though. They around $45 to $65
mhm.
bottle. But like the one, my friend, shout out to Dan Suarez, beer maker in upstate New York, but he shared it with me, and it was dry, but it had like, and clean and minerally and
Okay.
delicious, but it had a very light little bubble to it,
Okay.
like a very light little effervescence to it. And
Yeah.
maybe I'm just like, I've been chasing the dragon ever since. But like, it was
That's
probably
what we
one of
do.
the best. God, like, I don't even want to drink right now. It's 12 o'clock. I'm not much of a morning drinker, but I would drink that right now.
Right now,
A
no, it
fucking torpedo
sounds
my day.
delicious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite wines, right? So like some like Austrian Riesling, Gruner Veltliner, German, just depending on what region, like those are some of the most simple and sublime and I'm going to say complex all at the same time, right? Those
Kind of
just
like a
feel.
Pilsner,
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it just, it's got a balance of acidity and sweetness, but like the Austrian, the dry wines are like just powerful and just things of beauty. And
Yeah.
so I enjoy those. Speaking of that, I feel the same way. I was like, wow, do I have any Austrian white in the basement over there?
Yeah, the sun's out. I'm going out on the boat. I got some friends coming up.
Oh, good.
You know what? That might be in my foreseeable future.
I
I know
like
I
that.
got a
I
couple
like that.
liters. You know, I think
But
that'd be a good boat beer
that is
and
a
a
good
good
agree.
boat wine.
Yeah, and you could say beer too, right? Because it's easy, it's drinkable. Probably
Maybe
right around the same alcohol, depending if you're drinking
maybe
heady
throw an
topper.
ice cube in it.
Hey,
How do
you
you
know what?
feel about
Whatever
that?
floats your boat. You know
Yeah,
what I
that's
mean?
it.
Right?
Yeah.
You put an ice in it. You're drinking it fast. Who cares if it dilutes it? I don't know. I just think that, drink it how you want to drink it. There's
Yeah.
rules only because they're meant to be broken,
Amen to that, bud. Hey, what do they call it? I've had, I believe it was French. I believe I know the name of this too. God damn it! But it's like when you have a white wine, but it like if you were to close your eyes, it's almost like a full body big red.
Okay. So yeah,
What
that's
would
like
that be?
a lot of times that people talk about Chardonnay, because Chardonnay has like, sees some of the same type of oak treatment that red wines do. But
Okay.
normally, if you're talking about like what wine that would be, Chardonnay is generally a a
It wasn't a Chardonnay. It wasn't.
nope.
But I see what you mean. Even if it was wood or stainless, it has that like full kind of right.
Mhm.
It has that pretty
Yep. Yeah,
big
yeah, because
flavor.
like all red wines go through malolactic fermentation, which is like the conversion of malic acid that you find in apples converted to lactic acid you find in milk. It makes that rich kind of round creaminess. A lot of white wines don't go through it. Well, almost all red wines do. So like that
Ah.
texture and that feel that you get if you close your eyes and put white wine, like you might know because of the temperature, but drinking a white wine, especially something like Chardonnay that goes through mallow and see some time in wood, kind of would be hard for some people to distinguish between that and a red wine, like with their eyes closed.
Yeah. All right. All right. What else are we go? What else you got going on, man? What do you mentioned you had a big anything you want to share? Anything? I know you got so you still doing the videos, Andre?
Ah, yeah, I think so. I think so. So the videos have been great, you know. So yeah, I think it's been maybe 3 years or so, or something like that. Maybe 4 years of doing the Bon Appetit. That's how we met. So
Yeah.
doing a couple of videos and shows with them has been really fun and really awesome, actually. Like I think like really kind of bringing that other piece out of me, right? Like something that I've done a lot, right? You know, doing 3 or 4 wine dinners a week for almost a
Right.
decade. Like, so that whole idea of being comfortable and that kind of stuff. But like, and then just like, I think sometimes you forget the things that you know, right? And so that's been really fun
Sure.
to recall and to get kind of back in like teacher mode and that stuff. So it's been fun. So I'm doing a lot of that still, working on my own personal stuff, which is exciting and fun. Got a new book coming out. So you got
Well,
to stay tuned for
congrats,
that.
man.
So I'm excited about
What's
that.
the
And
focus on that? Has it got a title yet,
it's
or?
going to be a little wine book. No title
All
yet.
right.
But it's a wine 101 book. And what I would say is
Oh,
that
cool.
I'd never really wanted to write one because I felt like all of those like the definitive books have already been written on that. But it wasn't until, you know, shooting something with like Bon Appetit that you realize that a lot of people, it's more about the voice in which it's told, not the actual story, right? You know
Sure.
what I mean? It's like, oh, when you explain it in a way that it's easy for people to get or relatable. And so that's what really kind of changed my mind to say, hey, you know, maybe it would be fun to write a wine 101 book. But that is coming sometime next year, and I'm excited.
Yeah, you should be, man. Looking forward to it. And yeah, I mean, where folks can check out what you're on the social medias, or where if they want
I'm
to
on the
find your
social
wines.
medias. Yeah, if you want to find my wines, just go into any of your local stores, even your big box stores, all the way to your independent stores. Generally, they will have one of our wines. If not, please ask. Most buyers are really great at like bringing in stuff that you're excited about. So check anywhere. I mean, Whole Foods, like any place. And then, yeah, and if you want to find me on social media, it's just André H. Mack at Instagram. That's where you can find me. Chilling,
Yeah, heck yeah.
cooking, some Taylor ham.
Chilling and cooking. Some pork roll if you're from the southern New Jersey. Oh, wait, before I forget, man, I always have a couple questions I like to ask
Oh.
people. Yeah, it'll only take a minute of your time here.
All good.
Um,
All good.
Yeah. And some of them, you know, they kind of hurt to ask sometimes, you know what I mean? But it's things I was thinking throughout the day and throughout our conversation that had just kind of slipped past me.
All
Yeah,
right.
we answered one already. If you were a pork roll or a Taylor ham guy,
Got you.
boom. What are you saying? If you're at a bagel shop, what are you saying? You're saying,
I'm saying pork
hey,
roll.
do you have? You're gonna
Pork
say
roll.
pork roll. Yeah, you're from
Saying
Trenton.
pork.
What am I even talking about?
Pork
We
roll.
know that. Do you have right now, currently, other than your own, an affordable white that you would recommend right now? If I was going to ask you, hey Andre, what should I what would you actually new question? What would you recommend me trying right now after talking to me and what gives me a little chubby in the wine world?
A little chubby. I would recommend. Is it Prager? I would recommend a little Heidi Schrock. So
Heidi
Austrian,
Schrock?
yeah, Heidi Schrock, female winemaker, OG gangster. Love her wines. You say you like a little funk, so that's why I chose a little bit of that. But it's also some of the best affordable wine in Austria.
All right, right on. I wrote that down.
Got it.
Love that. Sorry, so I know, listen, sorry, bear with me. If you had all right, last meal, all right, you're gonna die, but game over for Andre. What are you asking for? What's your answer? What are you
Well,
thinking?
this might sound really bougie, but soft scrambled eggs, right? So soft scrambled eggs, right? Double boilers, scrambled eggs,
Perfect.
sweetbreads, truffle, call it the Mac Daddy. That's it.
Ooh, sweetbreads, truffle, and just a perfect little omelet.
Yep.
That's it. And as soon as you that last bite, just bang. That's
Boom.
it.
That's
there.
right. Don't even like still have the sensation in my mouth.
Yeah.
Still have the sensation in my mouth. Bow.
That ain't bad. Are you pairing that with a wine?
Yeah, might. Yeah, if I was gonna go with I'd probably go with a red, maybe a little Barolo,
Yeah, right. Just
maybe
hit
something
me,
with a
smack me in the
little
face.
edge on it. Yeah, that's it, and then call it a day.
Yeah, step on my neck.
Say
Yep.
don't cry because it's over. Cry because it happened. That's it.
Oh, love that. Sure. Last one.
Yes.
Any recent spot in New York, a little New York rec place you've eaten recently that you're all fired
Oh
up about,
shit,
something you're craving right now.
shit.
Maybe a little Turkish sandwich spot. I don't know.
No, where did I go recently that
Or
I was just
maybe it's like a little bodega that you're just like craving this little weird thing they do. Anything.
I don't know. It's one of those things, you've been to so many fucking restaurants. I'm trying to think of where did I go recently that was so
You
amazing.
know what
Yeah.
I always crave
What do you
right now,
crave?
currently from New York City,
Hmm.
is that place over in Greenpoint. I think it's called Frankel's, the bagel spot. They do the
Oh yeah, I know that
pastrami.
place. Yeah.
Oh my God, they make a pastrami and egg.
Yeah.
You might as well smack your mother.
I do remember that. I do.
Oh,
Where
if you
did I
haven't gone
go?
in a while.
Oh, I had some tacos at Taco 1986. That was the newest place I went.
Okay, like that.
And
I had
yeah, and
tacos.
they're from Los Angeles. So they've been, Los Angeles staple, but it was the first place outside of California that they opened in Manhattan. And so I got a
Oh,
chance
that's
to
a
do
big
that.
deal.
And they
What-
had like a little cocktail bar.
It was nice.
It was great. I'd like some of the best tacos I had. I think I was telling a friend, it was just like the carne asada, like the meat was just seasoned so perfectly.
Did you eat
so
like
beautifully.
95 of them?
Yeah, dude, I was crying. That's how good they were.
Oh,
Just tears rolling
guess
down
I'm
my-
kinda hungry.
The silent cry. You know what I mean? Just
yeah.
just
Crying
just
from the
pouring down.
inside. Well, Andre, thank you again, man. Love you, buddy. And we'll chat soon, man. Thanks
My
for
brother,
chatting.
thank you.
This episode was produced by Brad Leone and Carolyn Gagnon in partnership with Studio 71. It was edited by Kate Brunotz with music by Harrison Menzel.